Okay, Facebook family, how are you? This is Wellness Monday. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. We're giving people a few minutes to come in. Um, we have several people that we desire to talk to tonight. Well, one person in particular, but there's several of you that are, I'm sure, going to give feedback. But we welcome you in to Wellness Monday. Thank you. Oh my God. We're waiting for Dr. Christina is going to be joining us. And so we are just waiting for her to come on live with us. And I hope everybody is well. Thank you. Very exciting day that we've had traveling across the country. So I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we're just waiting for Dr. Christina to join us tonight. Hi, Teresa. Hey, Bev. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Dr. Christina, did you see my invite button so I can have you join us tonight, my dear? Okay. Okay, so you don't see an invite button. Let's see. Praise the Lord, Teresa. Dr. Christina, I'm sending you, trying to see what other way we can get you in. Hi. Okay, there should be a way for you, just to add you, and I don't see, I don't even see your name. Hi, Janet. Thank you guys for watching. We have a great guest tonight. That's Dr. Christina Alicia Campbell. So we thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. This young lady is going to give us some great information. Hi, ma'am. There you are.
So this is
That's
actually
okay.
my very first time using Facebook Live. Let's see where I can
Well,
practice.
welcome. Thank you so much for the patience. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. You're a little, I don't know, you're a little hazy. I want the Facebook's audience to make sure they can see and hear you okay.
Okay, let's see.
Hi,
Do
Cherie.
some.
So I want to welcome everybody tonight. I know we're running just a little bit late. I'm traveling. I am in St. Louis, Missouri, traveling back to the West Coast. So we're via car. And I just ran into the hotel so that I could get on tonight and introduce this lovely, lovely lady. We want to welcome Dr. Christina Campbell.
Thank you.
She is assistant professor at University of Cincinnati. This lady has so many accolades. I've known Christina since she was a young teenager. And it's just an honor and a pleasure to have her tonight. But let me just tell you a few things about her. She is not only a assistant professor at the University of Cincinnati, she did her postdoctoral at Yale University. I mean, talk about Ivy League. She has done so many things with the criminal justice system, and in particular, working with young African, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christina, with African American young boys in the system. So tonight we're going to have a serious, candid conversation about wellness and mental health. I am ecstatic and welcome you tonight to Wellness Monday.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. I just wanted to do a quick check. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, awesome. And someone said
Your
my
mom is
face
saying
looks
that it's a little
digitized.
digital.
Okay. I'm not
Hi,
sure
Nick.
what would get rid of
Okay,
that.
when you move, I'm not sure either. I don't know if these phones are okay. Right there, where you're at right now, where you were at, that was fine. Right there. Let's just
Okay.
stick right there.
Okay.
Okay, that's beautiful. So listen, I want to start out by just sharing some. Once again, I do these statistics, and I love to have people kind of do their own stats. But right now, we only have about 11% of African Americans that are attending college, well, universities, in particular the five Ivy Leagues. Only 11%, and that's we're trying to close that gap where more of our students can attend major universities as well as Ivy Leagues. I know my grandson next year is planning to apply to all of the Ivy League colleges.
Awesome.
And so let's talk about that for a minute. What do you see that's happening as a trend across the country with our young people of color?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Two things come to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is thinking about structures and systems that are in place from early childhood that predicts whether or not individuals end up in college. When we think about starting early, we can start as early as preschool and kindergarten when we think about what we can do in order to make kids ready for college. I think that it will require us to really look at our public and charter schools and begin to really think about how to better prepare young kids and gain their interest in things such as mathematics, technology, art, and the sciences. I think beyond looking at our schools, we really have to begin to also think about the role race plays. That's been a really big conversation around us thinking about the role racism plays. And one thing that we know for sure is that when we think about standardized testing, which is one of the challenges and or barriers that sometimes gets in the way of people being accepted to college, these standardized tests have been shown to be extremely biased. There has been several researchers, some at Columbia University, some at Stanford University, that has done a number of experiments on standardized tests. One example of these experiments includes having Black students randomly assigned to two different classrooms. One classroom, kids were given a standardized test, and these students were told this is a test of your ability. Another group of students were told this is just a test. We would like you to just fill this out. And the kids that were told we would like you to just fill this out and it was a test, it wasn't a test, those students actually did significantly better, all by the way they
Interesting.
framed what the students were taking. And so
Right.
when we think about one of the reasons why this effect actually happens, some have argued that it's this idea called stereotype threat, or this phenomenon called stereotype threat, that we can sometimes create stress during test taking as a result of some of the things that are happening in terms of the stigma and the pressures that we're under just based on our position in society, and also internalizing sometimes the stereotypes and some of these belief systems that might interfere with our ability to perform well. So those are just two examples of us thinking about children, both in preschool and kindergarten, as well as thinking about the role standardized test plays, which could be two things alone that would make a big difference in the number of African American students and Black students who end up in college in general, and also Ivy League University. Some of those studies are reasons why some colleges are beginning to do away with the ACT and the SAT,
Really.
because they understand that these tests do come with bias. And so we're going to start seeing a shift happening within many colleges around how they will begin to utilize, the test in order to make admission decisions.
That is outstanding. That's like that is something I am very excited about because it puts us at a disadvantage, and I say us as African American. I know I went to college, but when you think about testing and just like you said how it's represented, it's very challenging emotionally for us, emotionally, especially if there's a lot of dynamics. So I'm going to kind of shift a little bit, especially when there's environmental dynamics going on in the home environment and when our students desire to push and go be forward, some of those things are not able to happen because of different dynamics in the home environment. um, you have been blessed to be able to go to college and attend, and I know your mom personally and your family, but you were sharing with me some weeks ago some of the dynamics that was even going on with you when you were younger. And so how were you able to push through some of those challenges in order to get where you are now as a professor at a major university?
Yeah, so I was raised by a single mother, and I have two older sisters. And while education was always very important, I think that there were a few things, both legal and illegal, that actually led to me being able to go to college. And one of the illegal reasons is actually an aunt who's in this post, and I don't want to put her on blast, but she lived in an area where the schools had books and they had resources. And so I did go to a school that was not in my neighborhood. And I believe that that had a lot to do with my ability to be able to, or gave me an opportunity to prepare for college. I think another thing that was very important that led to me being able to attend college had to do with mentorship along the way. And I have been privileged that at various stages of my life and academic career, that God has placed people who were able to show me the ropes, show me what to do and how to do it. And they were able to also give me a plan, a blueprint that they use while they were in school. And so I can identify people within my high school. One was Rose Bautista, who was there, Palmenta Bautista. And even in undergrad, I can identify mentors who were able to show me the way, such as Dr. Joseph Price and Jamila Stanfield. And these are individuals that I still keep in contact with to this day. I haven't spoken to Rose Bautista recently, but I remember I reached out to her a few years after I finished San Diego State to let her know how I was doing. So I think mentorship is really important, especially when you have someone who's mentoring you, who's already been through the process. And
Right.
so in addition to prayers from my mother and family members, I'm very appreciative of those who have been placed in my path to help me along the way.
That is outstanding. And as you're talking about that, Dr. Christina, one of the things that I'm finding, and this is Wellness Monday, and we've talked about some of the mental health challenges that a lot of not just our people, but people, period, have been
Yes.
experiencing across the board. So, why don't you share with our viewing audience some of the things that you're seeing on the college level with mental health issues?
Absolutely. So I had a chance to look up just a few studies. The American Psychological Association in 2013 published a study where they looked at various colleges and they looked at the directors over the counseling centers at that college. And they wanted to see what types of things were college students seeing them for, and what were the issues that were being most reported. And what they identified was that there were three major things that many college students were experiencing. The first thing, which represented about 40% of the cases, was they were being seen for anxiety. The second thing that students were being seen for, which represented 36% of the cases, was depression. And the final thing that
Wow.
students were being seen for most often, about 35.8, almost 36%, they were being seen around things related to social relationships. And so when you think about these three areas and you think about everything that's happening between the stress that goes from the transitioning from high school into college, the stress of trying to establish new and meaningful relationships, the stress of going from one type of classroom environment to another, it is not surprising that college students are most often battling anxiety, depression, and being seen for issues relating to friendships and personal relationships.
Yeah, and as me as a behaviorist, so I sit in many team meetings to do IEPs with their individual educational plans. And a lot of those times, those follow the students all the way through high school, and if they want to go to college as well. You shared something with me very interesting, that a lot of our African American students don't have really a support when it comes a lot of times to the parents supporting them when there is some emotional and mental health challenges going on to help them get through their academic school year versus are white families that
Mhm.
already have documentation showing my student's been diagnosed with this is what's going to happen, and they need extra time for whatever it is to get their education. Talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely. So there are many reasons why individuals have, some groups like white individuals have access to mental health services and care as opposed to Black youth, Black students, and Black families. And what we see often, and I see even from personal experiences, is that some students who already have a history of seeing a therapist or a psychologist, they almost go to college and they understand and they seek out those resources most often, and um, they're interested in, as part of their startup plan, to get connected with the psychological services on campus. And it's not until a lot of the Black students I see have issues where they begin to really think about seeing someone, seeing a counselor, seeing a therapist. They often look to their peers while they're in college for a lot of that support. But when you already have a history, even through childhood, of seeing someone, it becomes second nature when you arrive on campus to seek out the psychological services and counseling that's available. For some Black students, their first experience, who go to college, their first experience with a counselor or a therapist will be once they arrive at that university. Many universities, as part of tuition, will provide free therapists and free counselors. Some will provide
Really?
a few free sessions, and then you would pay a fee if you would like to continue. And some universities will break up your sessions into shorter sessions so that you can be seen for free for a longer period of time. And so many
Wow.
times, Black students' first therapy experience will be through these free psychological services or counseling services. I have many peers who did not start psychiatric medication up until they sought out help, and that wasn't until they started graduate school. And so it wasn't that they were never in need of these things, it was that the support and the resources were not available. The second thing I wanted to bring up, you're talking a little bit, almost hinting towards like test anxiety and differences. It's very interesting being a professor and watching differences in how students respond to their own mental health needs. When I first start any class, I remind every student who has any special needs or disabilities or who need any accommodations during the class to let me know within that first few weeks.
Right.
And I have received long emails around prescription medications and the need for double time during tests, or the need to take tests in private locations from white students. And sometimes it takes me possibly mentioning this option to Black students for them to even realize such services and support exist. And test
Wow.
anxiety is just an example of what some might call an invisible disability. When students are struggling in class and they're like, I studied all night, and then when I take the test, I'm always failing, or I sweat bullets or get butterflies in my stomach before every exam, or I never get finished my exam, I never have enough time. All of these signs are often characterized by this symptom of or this issue of test anxiety. And so there are services on campus that can be accessed to provide you with additional time or additional accommodations. And research shows that if you provide individuals who need such services with just double time on their exam, they tend to perform at the level they're supposed to, so they're able to compete with their counterparts. Now, if students don't have disabilities or they really don't have test anxiety, a study showed when you gave them extra time, they actually second guess themselves and their scores were actually lower than what they needed to be. But there are
Interesting.
professionals in place, there's tests in place, there's assessments that can be taken, and students could get the proper care and the support that they need in order to perform well in class. And so I like what you're doing with this platform, because students are now becoming more aware that there's such a thing called test anxiety, for instance. And that as they
Right.
hear these symptoms, they might say, wait a minute, that's me. I'm the person who stays up all night and I still get every single test answer wrong, but I know the information, right? And so if that is someone's experience, I would recommend them getting evaluated to get the support that they need. I have even had white students and their parents contact me on their behalf. My daughter saying she's dealing with mental health concerns or issues. I have not yet been contacted by any of my Black students. The parents of my Black students have not reached out to contact me. And so sometimes I wonder, is there these cultural differences around how we begin to think about mental health and support? And so hopefully as people become more aware that thinking about mental health is completely normal, and that it is important that we begin to question sometimes our performance, question why do we procrastinate, begin to question why are we sad. As we begin to ask those questions, we can begin to tap into the different possibilities so that we can put resources and support in place so that we can perform well in any aspect of life, but even on university campuses.
That this is, you know what, this is outstanding information because a lot of students, I mean, I know we're under this umbrella of COVID-19 right now, but a lot of our seniors are graduating, going on to college. This is excellent information. But I want to go back to what you referenced at the top of the hour, which is it starts when they're young. It
Mhm.
starts, as young as kindergarten, preschool, prepping your child that, if this is a direction they want to go in, but also identifying very young if there's some challenges that your child experience, and you're going to know that, like I referenced about an IEP. Some of my kids were on at a young age, were not diagnosed but had a what they call failure to thrive. So I would come in and we would do these various stages of activities with them to get them, to a level where they would be ready for preschool. But it starts young, and it starts with who the
Absolutely.
parents in the home. So I just love this because it's really going to be imperative for our students that are our Black students to be able to be successful, whether it's a community college or a university. And I
Right.
really pray that some of our viewers that have students that are our nieces or nephew or grandchildren that are going to be going to college this year, that is something that they are aware of, that there is a place for them to go and get the help they need. Because I've not heard of that. I didn't know that there was what they call test anxiety. I didn't know
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So, I just learned
And
something.
I think it's important that even if someone doesn't know that they're experiencing something that has a label attached to it, if you are nervous, if you are anxious, if you are having fears about the future, if you begin to sweat bullets, do you begin to shiver and shake when you present, whatever the case may be, if there is a
Mm.
physiological response happening, if you are sleeping too much, sleeping too little, ask a professional so that you could get the support that you need, because you can receive accommodations so that you can work through the sweating, work through the anxiety. We can set up all your tests to be taken at a certain time of day or in a certain environment just so you can do well. And so people don't realize that, or
That's
they're
awesome.
afraid to receive such a label. However, if there's anything that interferes with your performance, it's important to get it looked at. And there are people who will look at you and evaluate you and ask you the right questions for free at the university or a community college, at any educational institution.
So, how many Black professors are on your campus?
Whew. It's hard to say. I'm at a pretty large institution. The university is divided up into several different colleges. And so the colleges are based on your area of research. And so
Okay.
I'm in the College of Education, and within the College of Education, I am probably one of maybe 7. I might be
Okay.
overestimating that. Within the School of Criminal Justice, which is within the larger college, I am one of 3.
You're one
And
of three.
we have 30 professors in our school, so I am one of 3.
So one of the things as we're drawing, I know we would talk for 30 minutes, but one of the things that, I found really intriguing that you and I had to talk about is your research within the criminal justice regarding um, our young juvenile offenders. You want to
Yeah,
share with the viewing audience for a few minutes on that, because that was really something which linked to mental health issues.
absolutely. So a lot of my work looks at youth who are involved with the juvenile justice system or child welfare system. And one of the goals of my work is to really find alternatives in place of correctional facilities and rehabilitation centers, preferably community programs and support, in order to help increase healthy development among youth. One of
Wow.
our goals in terms of the juvenile justice system is not necessarily to protect public safety, but our goal is in general supposed to be rehabilitation, and also promoting healthy citizens and allowing people to integrate into communities to be thriving adults. And so, in order for that to happen, we really have to think differently about this idea of delinquency. Delinquency can be something that is illegal solely based on your age. Things like
Right.
truancy, not attending school, underage drinking, and so on. And so, as we think about these things, while the government or the criminal justice system or juvenile justice system sees these things as illegal or criminogenic, my goal is for us to really take a step back and think about it as an opportunity to provide support, and so that people can become thriving adults. And I believe that we can do
That's
that
awesome.
by using services, by using mental health support, by providing leisure recreation activities, strong educational experiences, and so on, in lieu of traditional things that we see on television like scared straight programs, boot camps, residential
Right.
placements, and so on.
Right. And a lot of our students are Black young people are suffering from such trauma, from very young ages, which thrust them right into the juvenile correction centers around the country.
Absolutely.
Um, Let me ask you, and I ask all my guests this, but knowing where you're at now in your life as a professor doing well professionally, what do you feel like wellness means to you?
Yeah, I think wellness means several things. I don't think that we ever truly arrive at wellness. It's just a process that we continuously practice each day of our lives. And so, wellness to me, besides the traditional things like working out and eating healthy, I think wellness to me is practicing asking questions. And so that way, when we do need help, we already have it. It's already a second nature to ask questions. I think wellness to me means practicing forgiveness, forgiveness of ourselves, also forgiveness of other people. I think wellness to me means
Mm,
being sensitive to the company that we keep in our social relationships. If you ever want to get your life off track, just choose poor friendships and choose terrible relationships. You know, one relationship could actually get everything off track. So when I think about wellness, it's about being sensitive and in tune to the relationships that make me feel good, the relationships that are productive, that give me energy, and being mindful of the ones that are toxic or the ones that make me feel drained at the end of the interaction. And so I think within this idea of practicing forgiveness, just practicing asking questions, whether or not you think they're good questions or not good questions, and also making sure you keep the right people in your space, you're really going to be set up when you do experience stress, when you do experience anxiety, because unfortunately those things will come. And it all goes back to, are you going to be forgiving of yourself? Do you have someone to call, right? And do you know, are you
right.
used to asking the right questions? Does it come natural? Does it come easy?
That is outstanding. Wow, Christina. I I'm just so proud of you. I am because I've
Thank you.
known you for a very long time and have followed your career,
Mhm.
and it's an honor to have you on tonight. Um, we want to continue to encourage you to share. We're going to have you on again at some point. But wellness for me is just what you said. It's about knowledge, and not only just having the knowledge, but doing something with it. And it's a continual
Mhm.
process. Listen, we appreciate you. Kudos to you and your family, and just in the upcoming fall season, if you have one for school, I'm sure you will online. But we pray for you and continued success. We want to thank all our beauty audience. Remember, next Monday, same time, 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have Jelaine Williams, who is one of the high ups at Child Protective Services out of Chicago, Illinois, which is one of the largest child protective services agencies in the country. And so we look forward to having her. Christina, we love you. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time and your patience. Listen, we got to be well. As
Yeah.
Dr. Angel Sheffer said, and when those things come upon us, we did need to do the woosah. That means stay calm and stay relaxed. Hey, listen, God bless you guys. You guys can catch this on our video. I see all these people that are sending messages, and we thank you guys for your support. I read some of them. My daughter earned her 2 associate degrees and will be starting nursing school in the fall. Congratulations to you,
Congratulations.
Cassandra. Hey, we love you guys. Have a great night. Pray for us as we continue our journey from St. Louis, where I'm at right now, on to California. Thanks, Christina. God bless you.
All right. God bless.